Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into chapter 7 of The Game by Lindsay Miller, so I hope you guys are ready for this chapter. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest clicking off of the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 7. On Monday night, Leah made plans instead of sleeping. Her parents had been strict with Mark, but Leah was the second child. They had exhausted all their helicoptering, he used to say, and she was lucky they didn't watch her like a hawk. They spent more time worrying about her on the Parents of Lions Facebook group than talking to her about her life. Really, Leah knew he just mattered more, so they paid less attention to her. She left the house at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Her parents snored right through it. She wasn't going to kill Abby. They had made a deal after all. She was just going to follow Abby and see if she kept her normal routine. She had nothing to fear, but maybe she would scope out new routes or invite a friend to journey out with her and Omelette. It was the perfect time for Abby to experiment with the ways to stay alive in Assassins, which meant it was the perfect time for Leah to figure out how to get around those ways. The water gun she had gifted Abby would make it harder, especially now that Abby was on alert, but it would be a good challenge. If she killed Abby, people would know how good she was. Devin too might not feel the need to remind her of obvious things. Abby lived a good 20-minute walk from Leah's, and in the quiet dark before dawn, no one was about. Frosted grass blades snapped underfoot, leaving an inky trail behind her as she cut across yards and little neighborhood parks. No one locked their gates in Lincoln. Leah's parents had only started locking theirs after binging 5 true crime podcasts last summer. Abby's house was a peak-roofed shadow black-lit by a neighbor's motion lights. Leah waited across the street, huddled against a brick mailbox. Leah didn't know Abby's full schedule, but she knew Abby would walk Omelette no matter what, so she waited. The motion light switched off. The wind sliced through Leah's scarf, burning at her nose. A fence creaked, wood rubbing against wood, and a car passed on the adjacent street. Light flitted through the hedges and houses, washing the windows of Abby's house white, and the motion light switched on again. Omelette's soft ahoo echoed across the quiet street. A light flickered on behind a covered window of the Asher house, and the door slammed shut. Abby and Omelette emerged from the dark backyard. Omelette's safety vest glowed, and Abby reached up to turn on a lamp attached to her ear warmers. The brace on her arm was a bulge beneath her white sweatshirt. They started off power walking. Abby kept one eye on the windows of her house until she turned the corner. Another early morning runner sprinted down a parallel street, setting off lights and yappy dogs, and Leah sighed. Leah crept after them, keeping close to the shadows between the streetlights. "Maybe we'll run a little," Abby said, and scratched the Malmoot's head. "Don't tell Dr. Kim." And they were off, 2 ghosts racing down the streets toward the park. Leah couldn't keep up. She wasn't sporty, and even if she was, her footsteps would have been too loud. She didn't need to follow Abby closely anyways. She only needed to know which paths Abby took. She followed the slap of Abby's tennis shoes against the pavement to the rougher concrete of the park. Spindly trees cracking in the breeze, and Leah ducked into the safety of their trunks to hide, using her phone to see. She added long path to her notes about Abby. It was the one that didn't cross the bridge. Slap, slap, ahoo. The path wound through the narrow section of woods at the edge of the neighborhood, making the park seem bigger and more forested than it really was. It felt like some backwoods haven miles away from Lincoln. Slap, slap, ahoo. Leah crunched through the grass at the edge of the cracked concrete. Abby and Omelette began to round the bend, and Leah no longer had to creep so much. Someone was probably following Leah and pissed that they couldn't shoot her since she was too near Abby. During Assassins, few people went out alone, but Leah didn't mind being alone. She had grown used to the loneliness. Mark was sort of the brother who was more apt to measure the Snickers they were about to split with a ruler than actually do things with Leah, and next year Jim would be gone too. Abby was just another classmate who knew what they wanted and had the means to get it. Leah hated the envy burning in her veins. Slap, slap, woof. Leah could barely even hear Abby and Omelette now. She started jogging, one ear tilted out of the wind to listen. Leah should have walked faster. Everyone outpaced her eventually. Omelette barked. Then came a thunk, as if Abby had kicked a rock. A groan, tree limbs bent back too far by the wind, damp branches splitting underfoot. Then Abby took off again. Leah ran after her. Maybe Abby had seen her lurking in the trees. Leah neared a sharp bend in the path, Omelette's bark growing louder and louder. Leah lengthened her strides, water gun in hand. She sprinted beneath a burned-out streetlight and tripped. She went down hard. Her hand shot out, and the water gun skidded across the sidewalk. Her chin smacked into her outstretched arm, teeth biting through her cheek. Gravel tore through the knees of her jeans. Leah groaned and rolled onto her side, eyes squeezing shut. Omelet woofed and panted. He padded back and forth across the pavement. Leah shook her head. "Not funny, Abby," Leah murmured, crawling to get the gun. Everything ached, and her right ankle throbbed. There was a ringing in her ears. "Abby?" No one answered. Omelet, still pacing across the path in front of her, whined. The path was empty in both directions. This had to be payback for the bridge, but Leah had never thought Abby was the revenge type. "Abby?" The skin on Leah's hands looked like it had gotten the meanest rug burn she'd ever seen. "I don't think I fractured anything, but we're definitely even, and you're freaking Omelet out." Leah froze. The silence pressed in. Abby would never leave Omelet like this, even if she were out for vengeance. Leah stumbled to her feet, and Omelet darted to the side of the path without the streetlight. Leah could only see his white fur. A dark stain marred his snout and paws. Leah lurched after him. Abby lay off the path, face down in the dirt. Her neck was twisted at an awkward angle. "Abby!" Leah dropped to her knees and turned her over. Blood soaked Abby's face, all of her red and warm and still. It thawed the frost on the ground and a halo around her. It darkened the indent where her skull had been cracked open and stuck to Leah's hands. It dripped down the rock that had broken Abby's fall. Leah's fingers fluttered near her jaw, desperate to find a pulse, but nothing. That is the end of this chapter. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.